welcome to Modelesque Etiquette. We are talking about casting etiquette. No matter where you go, you will always be using your basic etiquette. Bring your book and cards, arrive early, smile, get as much information as you can about the casting or job, and bring your picture ID. And communication is key. When getting ready for a casting, you want to start with avoiding competing brands or designers. If you're going to a Nike casting, you are not going to want to wear a shirt that says Adidas really big. You want to avoid brands and logos altogether, but especially avoid competing brands whenever possible. I suggest that you avoid jewelry because it can snag on things and it can get lost. And the majority of clients are going to ask you to take it off for the casting. And that just slows your day down and you could potentially end up losing things. And then you got to go chasing it back down and hope that no other model took it and hope that it's still at the casting you left it at and hope you can remember which casting you left it at. And I've seen this happen a lot. So just avoid bringing that jewelry, especially if you care about that jewelry and it's sentimental to you. Keep the makeup simple. And if you are wearing makeup, use a setting spray so that you can avoid transfer onto the clothing. Wear clothing that is easy to change in and out of. You don't want to have to be undoing 20 different buttons or peeling your clothing off you because it's so skin tight. You want to be able to get in and out of it easily, try on their clothing, get back into your clothing, and get back to your day. Use deodorant and antiperspirant that doesn't transfer, some type of gel or maybe a spray one. I have recently started applying it at night because I do shower at night, and I heard that you're actually supposed to apply your deodorant at night to allow it to fully take effect and then you don't sweat during the day. I have found that it is more effective. I do not sweat at all ever during the day now. Whereas sometimes when I would apply it, I would notice even an hour later, I would be sweating and smelly. And that just doesn't happen for me anymore. So personally, for me, it works. You can try it if that works for you. Of course, if you shower in the morning, this is not going to apply to you. Avoid using heavy oils or lotions. We talked about makeup getting on the clothes. We talked about the deodorant getting on the clothes. Heavy oils and lotions could also end up getting on the clothes and leaving a stain, especially if you're trying on some type of delicate fabric like silk or even some light chiffons. So you want to either put on those lotions or oils really early in the morning, giving them plenty of time to soak in, even patting yourself down a little bit with a towel to make sure it is all soaked in, or just avoid it and use something else those days. A model bag is a bag you bring with you to get through your day. So whether it's at a casting or a job, it's going to be a different type of model bag, even a different size. And you can put as many of these things as you want or none of these things. The models that I know that bring very little to pretty much nothing are usually the most miserable models. They are usually complaining about a lot of things, and they're usually spending a lot of money trying to comfort themselves with all the things they didn't bring by buying them last minute. Things like chargers and snacks and coffee. So you do want to bring these things if you can. You do not have to pack all of them. Things like the ID, very important. Layers if it's cold. Snacks are very important. Even if you're not a snacker, get some protein bars that aren't going to go bad. You can leave them in purses for a couple weeks even before you get to them, because some days you're going to think you have 2 hours between castings, and then between the wait and the traffic and 10 other things that happen, you now have no time to go get lunch, and now you haven't eaten for 5 hours. So having snacks in all of your bags can be very helpful for those crazy days, even when you don't think it's going to happen. Nail files, I think, are very important. Buy a pack of them and sprinkle them everywhere. You can even cut them in half, and now you've got double. Chargers are a very important thing for not only your phone to be able to contact your agent, to be able to use the maps, to be able to look at the details of your castings, but also to be able to charge your book. So chargers and power banks. Headphones. You should not be taking phone calls loudly in any casting or job. Bring those headphones. And same for your music. If you do need medications or first aid items, bring that. If you are a person who menstruates, you should always be carrying a menstrual item because you never know. Contacts and solutions or eye drops, mints and gum so you got good breath after you drank all that coffee. Quiet activities like a notebook or a reading book. You don't really need your vouchers and pen. I forgot to delete that. Portfolios and cards, deodorant and antiperspirant, because yes, those are two different things. So you want to make sure you get both And nude underwear and strapless bra can be worn to your castings. You do not have to wear these to every casting. You are supposed to wear these to pretty much every single job. So I like to just wear them to all the castings because then I never forget. I never get confused. Just anytime I'm going to anything that deals with modeling, I'm wearing nude underwear and a strapless bra. When you are at the casting and you are checking in, you want to sign in and keep track of when you're next so you are ready to go. When you are on deck, you want to stand up, get ready, shake it out, make sure you got your book. And then that way you look really happy and confident when you walk into the casting. Be respectful and follow instructions. Some castings want you to be very quiet while you're waiting. Please respect that. That may be an office where people are trying to do their job. And don't set up camp. You don't need to bring in your whole lunch. You don't need to bring 10 different items with you. You want to keep that model bag pretty small and contained. While you are waiting, you want to plan ahead for that waiting game. Make sure you are doing something on your phone or brought that quiet activity to occupy your mind while waiting. If you need to take calls, maybe you need to call about the next casting. Maybe you've got other things you need to do with. You want to take those outside or on your headphones. Keep them to a minimum. This is not a place for you to be having a full conference call. Again, this may be somebody's office. A lot of people are working. Keep your phone on silent. Nobody wants to hear your group message go off like 50 times in a casting. It can be very obnoxious. And communicate if you need to leave. It is okay that you need to leave sometimes. The casting has taken too long. You didn't plan for this. You have other castings, maybe a fitting, maybe even a job. But you want to communicate with your point person, probably the person you signed in with, and let them know so they can cross your name off the list and offer to leave a card. Before you leave, you want to also communicate with your agent that you're going to leave because sometimes they have more information. Like maybe casting B has a longer hours of casting, so it's going to be okay if you're a little late so you can stay at casting A. Or maybe your agent can call casting A and say, hey, my model has a job in half an hour. Can you please put them at the front of the line? And sometimes that will happen. Do not abuse that, but it can be useful on those days that everything is just going crazy. During the casting, you want to breathe. You've got this. You're already here. You're already awesome. You already did the hard work. All you got to do is show up and be yourself. You want to give your full attention. The casting's probably going to be 5 to 10 minutes. Just pay attention for those 5 to 10 minutes. You will be getting lots of direction. And because everything in the modeling industry is a case-by-case basis, you're not going to know what they want or what they're going to ask for. So make sure you are listening. Have patience and watch your face. Some models forget to not roll their eyes or other things that are obvious on your face when you're annoyed that the client is a little unorganized. A lot of clients are unorganized in their castings. Now, I don't mean that you should sit there for half an hour and let them waste your time, but if they're taking a minute to get their stuff together or to figure out what clothing they're going to have you try on, you want to have a little patience. Ask questions if you're confused about anything, about what they want in the casting, about the job, about what they're going to be doing at the job in terms of your boundaries. Ask questions. And then always give thanks using the name if possible. It's a psychological fact that people like when you use their name. So try and use names. It helps to connect. When you are trying on clothing, which may not be every casting, but is a lot of castings, you want to carefully pull the clothing over your head to avoid makeup and skincare transfer onto the clothing. Take your time when zipping and buttoning to avoid snagging the fabric and also avoid them then having to cut you out of something because you are now stuck in it. So even if you think these 5 seconds of rushing is going to help you get to that next casting, it's not if you end up stuck in it and they got to cut you out. Ask for help if you need it. Just close as much of the clothing as you can and cover whatever you need to feel comfortable walking out of the dressing room and ask for help. Or even if they're close enough, you can, while in the dressing room, shout for someone to come to you and just say, please, I need help. And they will come help you zip up or tie or whatever it is that you need to do. When you take off those clothes, you want to hang them up or fold them. Do not throw them on the floor. Every model I have ever watched do that has then lost the job. The clients don't want to work with models who can't respect their items and clothing. You may throw your own clothing on the floor. That's your personal choice. But these designers work hard on this clothing. It's typically a sample. They don't want it to get dirty. Please do not throw it on the floor. Red flags to look out for at castings, starting with contracts and releases. If you're asked to sign anything other than an NDA, it's probably a huge red flag. If you have representation, you're going to want to take a picture of it and send it to the representation. Do not sign it until your agent says it's okay. And if you don't have rep, you're going to want to thoroughly read that and ask some questions. They shouldn't be giving you contracts and releases at a casting other than an NDA. Nudity. No nudity should be happening at any casting. It just shouldn't be happening. Even if the job requires some type of nudity, it's typically never happening at the casting. You shouldn't be asked to do that, and never should you be asked last minute at a job or a casting to get nude. You should always have been told prior that that was going to be on the table, so that way they could book a model that was comfortable with that. If they did not, most likely they were trying to hide it from you. If you are asked to be in swimwear lingerie, again, most of the time, agencies feel that they must tell you this prior to the casting. So you can refuse and say, I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared. But in places like New York with the most high agencies, they're going to expect you to be swim and lingerie ready 24/7 and willing to put on a bikini at any casting. So do be aware that this is based on the different agency and how your agencies feel that you should be ready. Fees. If anybody asks you to pay for anything other than parking, it's a red flag. You should not be paying to do the casting. You should not be paying some type of finder's fee. There should be no fees at all whatsoever associated with castings unless it's parking. After the casting, you want to keep notes. Keep notes of the names of the people you met, of parking and details and prices so you know for next time, or maybe of what door to go in if it was hard to find, and your feelings about it. Did they make you happy? Were they a little creepy? So you can keep track of these things, because hopefully you have lots of castings and it's all going to get mushed together if you don't keep notes in your brain. So write those notes down on a piece of paper, in a journal, or on a notes app. You want to communicate with your reps if there are any issues or changes. If the client has made some comments during the casting that it would be a different shoot date or a different rate, or they want a different action than you were originally told in your email, you want to go ahead and communicate that with your agency so they can figure out what's going on and make sure that they have all the information. And then you want to do something. You want to schedule your life so that you have something to do after the casting, so you aren't just sitting there worried about everything you said and everything you did and everything you didn't do. You need to have something to do. Hopefully it's something that can make you happy. I don't suggest going out and spending hundreds of dollars after every single one, but maybe go get a coffee or an ice cream, or you take a walk with your dog, or just something that is going to give you something to look forward to, something to do, and something to get your mind off of that casting. That is everything for your casting etiquette. If you have any comments, please leave them below. If this is working for you, I would love to hear about it. You can email me, or if you feel comfortable sharing your wins publicly on social media, use the hashtag Modelesque Mindset. And if you would like to book a virtual one-on-one with me, the link is below.